What is it?
Well, it's called Randomizer, and it's fitted to the guidance systems and operates under a very complex scientific principle called potluck. Now, no one knows where we're going. Not even the Black Guardian.
Not even us.
Hello and welcome to the Randomizer podcast, episode 37. I am Tim.
And I am Chaz.
Welcome. We have just watched The Star Beast, so spoilers for all episodes of Doctor Who up to and including The Star Beast, and also the Daleks in colour. And there's a few peripheral things as well that we'll talk about which have been released around The Star Beast, like the commentary, the official Doctor Who podcast.
Yep.
What else? God, there's been so many.
Unleashed.
Doctor Who Unleashed. I haven't watched that yet, actually.
Oh, right. Oh, well.
But we can talk about it.
Spoilers for that.
Yeah.
And major spoilers for CBeebies Book at Bedtime.
So,
also the amount of swearing.
in the Book at Bedtime. Yes, it has been the 60th anniversary week and we've been spoiled for choice. Loads of different things. I think we should start vaguely in chronological order. So let's talk about the special treat that was broadcast on the 23rd of November itself, on Thursday.
Yeah.
Which was the Daleks in colour.
Ooh, on the small screen.
Yeah, I think you made that joke last time.
I know.
But, you know, it was good.
Nothing if not repetitive.
You said that already as well.
Mm-hmm.
They so I think we broadly agree on this. We didn't compare notes in detail, but I thought it was generally great. I liked the first half a lot more than the second half in terms of editing and music, I think, were the two things.
I was pretty much the same. My major gripe was, and it, as I say, it's not that big a gripe, I suppose, but the repetitiveness of the flashbacks.
That was strange.
So on.
I mean,
it
at one
just
point,
got on my nerves a little.
yeah,
you know.
and by the end they were flashing back to something that had literally just happened.
I mean, Connor and I watched them, we were pissing ourselves, you know, especially like you get the scene where the Daleks are talking about getting Susan to write a letter, and the next thing the Thals have a letter.
That's fair enough. That's a
And
jump cut.
yeah, I know, but I was just saying, so who brought it out? Did they go out and pin it up? Or, you know,
Well,
maybe Davros walked out?
If you look closely, you can see where it's been folded up as a paper airplane.
Ah, right.
That cut scene of the Dalek suckering it off the top of the city, and it.
Yeah, as I say, it's none of it's a big deal in that sort of thing. As I say, a couple of other little bits. The music was nice up until a very fucking weird point where it just went all sort of chase and jangly.
I'd sort of read it as like 60s caper movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was
When
Ian,
yeah,
being trapped in the Dalek.
which I completely burst out laughing at.
Yeah, it was quite sort of what's the word? Quite sort of out of keeping at some points in a funny way. I thought the music did brilliant work in the first half, as did the editing, really, in gluing the scenes together and kind of giving it atmosphere. And then once we're kind of into the thick of the second half, it sort of started throwing all bells and whistles. Yeah, editing wise too, I thought it was so choppy.
The other thing I noticed was the quality of the picture dropping quite badly, you know, from scene to scene. Not every scene to scene, but like some were beautifully sharp and some were like really fuzzy. And I just think, you know, a bit more detail to that. But it does sound like I'm being overly negative about it. I'm only sort of pointing out little things. I don't think that anybody who was watching this for the first time, in terms of, you know, not a 50-year-old, maybe a 10
like
or a 15-year-old or whatever, would watch it, and I think they would enjoy it more, because obviously, I mean, it's 7 episodes crammed down to 75.
Yes, and I've got to say, I'm very sympathetic to the huge challenge of compacting all of that material in the last part. It's slightly front heavy, but you kind of have to build the world, and you know, the creepy atmosphere stuff deserves a little bit of a slower pace, but that was all done so well.
I basically took it that it's not technically made for the likes of me, because if I have the choice, I will always watch the black and white one because I like the atmosphere, and I know there's shitloads of padding, but I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I don't know, it just felt a bit jarring, but
Yeah.
it is going to be difficult, especially for older fans that, you know, you're so used to watching it one way.
But, I mean, in a sense, we've
It's
already
gonna
got a comparison with a cut-down, trimmed, souped-up version in the form of the Doctor and the Daleks movie with Peter
Oh,
Cushing.
yeah, exactly.
And, you know, obviously it's a movie, bigger budget, all of that.
Yeah.
But I do think the editing in the second half was just bad in many places. It was really disconcerting. I've got a bunch of notes.
No, it's, absolutely.
So, generally, yeah, like Chaz says, absolutely loved it. So glad it's there. It's a wonderful way for people to get into the old series. So, notes though, why dip into black and white at the start, which was weird to me. It made little sense.
It
I
kind
thought
of took me out of it a little.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Well, and I wonder if, you know, they have that kind of negative to positive effect.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was just in some way
difficult.
impossible to get a good colorization of.
But think about it, when the Daleks exterminate someone, it goes positive to negative.
Yeah,
so...
I don't know. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the
No,
doubt, because
yeah.
otherwise it was like, ha ha ha, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, do that in the titles, man. You know, like they did with Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
And that was weird, though. But I could have done without the sort of additions to the opening theme, but they were at least subtle, unlike that fucking awful big Finnish version that endlessly repeats the sting throughout, which I totally hate.
What was there?
Oh, there was a few little twiddles added to the theme. Yeah.
I didn't really notice, to be honest. The thing I would have kind of liked, even if it was only a voiceover or something, was to sort of just set the scene as, you know, because obviously we have the problem with the fucking Ultraman baby. You know.
I remember Ultraman.
Ultraman, yeah. But, you know, so we have to sort of skirt round that now, so it would have been nice to... But there's nothing to say that it couldn't be added later. I mean, because I think with the likes of this, they wouldn't have had time to do anything.
Well, that'll emerge quite
know.
late in the day, of course. So.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
but it is
I'm not
strange.
fussed about that.
Even a caption would have helped. And I've said this about the iPlayer presentation as well.
Yeah.
But I noticed a few things as well that are just in the text anyway. So the Doctor offers the Daleks the first ever TARDIS tour years before Nyssa.
Yeah.
Let me show you how we came here.
He's offering to build one for them.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'd kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah, me too. I thought the swamp creature looked really good.
It did.
yeah.
Actually, I said to Connor that, you know, I'd never really thought about it much before, but in colour, it actually was quite a decent...
Pretty good
you
effect,
know,
yeah,
quite
pretty good monster.
decent monster.
I mean, the whirlpool afterwards actually does for the Thal. That still looked very separate and could have done with an update if they were going to do the effect. I think they've added an absolute fuck ton of the Daleks saying exterminate that weren't there before.
I think so. I think Nick
I don't think
Briggs done some work on it,
Oh,
but
for
not
sure, yeah.
all. The obvious things they've added are the extermination
The
lasers,
beams, yeah.
the cloister bell at the
Yes,
start.
noticed that, yeah.
Which, that was interesting.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, it's already the
Yeah.
absolute crisis to end all crisis.
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously lots of sort of, you know, little bits, and I think some of the model work may have been tweaked.
Oh, the city, I think, was really
Stuff like
revamped.
that. I mean, you know, I'd read somewhere that apparently they'd taken out sort of like some scenery shots that, you know, like, for example, in the Aztecs, when they're having the battle at the end, you see the back cloth, the bottom of it. Not so in Daleks, you know, anything that was like that was taken out, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, obviously some of it's unavoidable.
That's
but
nice,
Yeah.
really.
I could have done without Murray Gold for the end titles. And also, Mark Ayer's music was very overblown in the mix, and of course, completely batshit crazy in the second half.
Which is a shame because Mark Ayers, I would say, is probably my favourite of the classic series. composers.
And there's no doubt his love and commitment
Oh,
to restoring the program.
God, the man is just, absolutely dedicated.
Just, I think, too much. Got a bit overexcited at the end. And
Yeah.
Together with the sort of choppy, clumsy editing,
Well,
it meant that the second half was really a lot less strong than the first, I thought.
absolutely. I mean, I kind of look at this as a sort of a dry run, or, because they have already made clear there are more coming. In fact, I believe that at least 2 have been done.
Yeah.
But as a first attempt, I think it looked pretty sharp.
I overall loved it. The cuts felt like the right things to cut, and despite my criticisms, I think it's a lovely thing to have with the 60th. It would be a great way to introduce somebody new to the original show.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think, whatever stories exist in black and white, if you can do a colour edit, you will get,
Get people in.
younger viewers interested, because black and white's just not loved
It's only for you.
in general.
Well, this brings us to the last minute or so of the Daleks in colour, which was
of course.
absolutely breathtaking.
Oh,
This
yeah.
absolutely kind of fast-paced trailer of tons of other clips in colour. So I went through them and tried to identify each episode that they represented. Here's my list. So
Alright.
definitely Wed Planet and Keys of Marinus. I thought a great shot of Susan menaced by the Voord.
Wait a minute, was the Web Planet from the real Web Planet, or was it an adventure in time and space?
We got the Rescue, we got the Romans, we got 10th Planet,
Yeah.
we got Gunfighters, Toymaker, of course,
Yeah.
which is a nice way to lead in. Daleks Invasion Earth, bits of Master Plan, bits of The Chase, bits of Planet of Giants, bits of the Crusaders. Time Meddler, I think. It's that clip of the monk looking around the TARDIS, which might actually be from Master Plan.
Possibly,
So,
yeah.
I'm not sure if Time Meddler was in there if that wasn't from
And there
that.
was only one shot of Pat Troughton.
Yes, right, the end, of course.
It was quite nice.
Well, it was all Hartnell. It was Reign of Terror,
which, wow.
The Massacre, I think.
I think there's only a couple of clips of
Yeah,
it,
there was a
maybe.
bit with the Doctor in a sort of white cloak. I'm not sure if that was him as the Abbot of Amboise.
Maybe, or it could... No, if it was a cloak, I'm thinking more
Well,
the
it was
Romans.
it was
but,
like a robe. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
that familiar with the material to identify it. War Machines, the Ark. And I thought we saw a bit of Marco Polo, but it was the end of Brink of Disaster.
There is a couple of clips of Marco Polo somewhere.
Well, this
but-
was very definitely covered in that
Yeah.
cliffhanger, because it's the Doctor and Ian at the TARDIS doors with the snowy mountains outside.
Right.
Ian dressed up in the brown cloak. I think there was one from the Smugglers. It looked like a guy with a hook killing another guy.
Yeah, I think a couple of minutes of Smugglers came back a few years.
Space Museum and Sensorites.
Yay.
What I didn't see, Brink of Disaster notwithstanding, was Edge of Destruction. Time Meddler, if that monk clips from Master Plan. Didn't see Aztecs, didn't see Galaxy 4. Didn't see Mission to the Unknown. Although maybe the Daleks boodling around was...
I think with the likes of Galaxy 4, it's already fully animated. It probably wouldn't be any point.
Yeah, you're not going to spend a lot of time on it.
Mission to the Unknown, the only thing that
got that
it
stream
does
version.
exist is that
Yeah.
stream version.
Mythmakers and Savages were the last of the list. I didn't spot something from those.
I've not seen any clips from Savages
Yeah.
before, so I'm not 100%
Yeah, I could have missed it because there were a couple that I wasn't
Yeah.
sure where they were from.
And I honestly don't think there's anything of the Mythmakers that exists.
No. But again, a photo could be colorized,
Yeah.
or there may well be color photos that exist.
Possibly.
But anyway, that was such a lovely sequence. I watched that about 5 times, not least with the play and pause button, so I could make that list.
No, it was truly sort of jaw dropping, especially when you see some of the clips. Bloody hell!
But slightly writing a check, they better try and cash as much of as they can in terms of, because obviously they haven't colorized everything, but maybe they intend to, or
Maybe they
see
have.
if there's a market. Yeah,
Maybe they have, and they're just sort
Well,
of
you did
holding
say
on to it.
you thought there were a couple of others done, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, one of those Unearthly Child, do you think?
Well, apparently, Unearthly Child was done. There was only, I think, a few minutes of the last episode left to do, but it's been shelved, obviously.
Yeah.
The other ones, I believe, possibly are Dalek Invasion of Earth and a Pat Troughton, which is seems likely to be Tomb, because there is colour footage of
that would make sense.
that
Yeah.
one. I
'Cause,
suppose they're going for the biggies. you know?
Yeah, hit the big ticket ones.
Yeah.
So, but that was the Daleks in colour and the wonderful trailer at the end of it.
Yeah, no, I'd say a good start.
Yeah.
Definitely a good start.
Great fun. So let's talk about the main attraction. Meep Meep. Yes, Roadrunner. No, it's the Star Beast.
Why not? We're going in chronology. It has to be CBeebies.
Oh, well, all right. You talk about your CBeebies. I didn't watch it, so.
No, so this guy basically arrives in a blue box and introduces himself. He's on planet CBeebies, apparently, and he introduces himself as the Doctor and talks about his spaceship. And then he tells us this amazing story of a little boy who found an aeroplane in his cupboard and he flew to the moon. There he met a Martian and he was out of fuel and the Martian needed something to fix his spaceship. So for some bloody strange reason, the kid lowered himself back to Earth and then sat and watched some TV. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wouldn't it have been better just sacrificing the plane and going home if you could do that? Anyway, he got a spanner and he managed to sort of climb up a mountain, and the Martian lowered some rope and they managed to refuel the plane, and the Martian managed to fix his spaceship. But they became firm friends and it was delightful.
Well, that worked. Yeah, great. So, did you think anything about it, or are you just summarising the plot?
No, I'm just summarising the plot. I mean, I want to go into a deep dive about it.
Oh, God.
It was delightful.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, great. Let's talk about the fucking Star Beast, please.
I just wanted to torture you.
Yeah, all right. Consider it successful. Anyway, will the makers of Roadrunner sue, do we think? It's the Candyman all over again.
It really is.
No, I just want to say before we start off, thank goodness RTD is back and Doctor Who is no longer full of all that woke shit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got this entire story, no woke shit. It's all sort of just there. And it's not in your face.
I loved it. I love the woke shit. And I love
I
it's
really
done well.
did. I really did quite like the woke shit, I must admit.
I generally loved every minute of the Star Beast.
I mean, there was some really lovely little bits in it, but I think if we try and do it in chronological, then
let's just riff. Whatever. Yeah.
So
let's not try and have a structure. This is against our very essence of our podcasting.
I was just
ourselves.
thinking of the way it introduced itself, David Tennant floating on air.
Yeah, that was a bit funny.
I think they would have been better just doing close up,
mid-shot, yeah.
Whatever.
It was a bit kind of, I don't know, science lecture or something. I've got to say two things that will shock you. I didn't mind all the whats.
Oh, yeah.
They were all really skillful. And actually sort of knowingly done, I thought, was nice.
Yeah, I liked that.
Especially when everybody joined in, including Donna.
It was good.
And also I thought the music mix was really, really good.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you might need to phone the doctor because...
No, it was properly tucked under. It was balanced nicely. I wasn't hyper aware of it, but it did its job.
I will say something about the score. At the end, it's like a...
Yeah, you heard a weird rackety thing.
And I listened to it again, and it's sort of like...
Maybe like TARDIS noise?
No. It's like maraca or, or some sort of, like a xylophone except...
Marimba?
Wood, something like that.
There was a stupid fucking
weird
voiceover over the end of the
titles.
titles. So I couldn't listen properly to the end music, but I could hear Gold throwing all the instruments into a skip and shaking it. And I didn't enjoy the end titles, but I liked the theme at the start. I thought
I thought it was.
And the new title sequence looks beautiful.
I do like that actually. It's nice. It's not just we're going through tunnel. It's a little bit of movement here and there. I mean, I'm okay. A lot of people say, "Oh, bit boring. It's the same sort of thing.
You
But
just- they-
I like the TARDIS going through a tunnel and, you know,
yeah, it's
nothing
just
wrong
perfectly
with
nice.
it. It
And-
was a bit shorter though, did you notice?
Yes, and there's a slightly odd rhythmic edit in the theme, I think, towards the end, but it's nice. And I suspect we'll get another new title sequence for
I think
Shitty.
we might,
But
or
who
at
knows?
least
Like
maybe
an adaptation of
like his face
yeah.
or something like that.
yeah.
It doesn't really see. I mean, a lot of people like the face in the titles. I can take it or leave it, but I didn't think if they were just doing the three, it's probably not worth the effort to do David Tennant in the
I don't know.
titles
It kind of
to
foregrounds
begin
the why this face.
with. Yeah.
So,
I suppose,
as an episode, I think it was just beautiful and lovely, but I think it'll fade over time in terms of its power, because for now it just sort of captures two sort of special moments, the actual literal 60th, but also this unique reuniting of Tennant and Tate, and the new ground that the Doctor having the same face again represents.
Yeah.
All of these are so special in themselves.
at the moment, they
this-
are. Yeah.
This becomes a timely and special way of
Yeah.
kind of dealing with that, using that and celebrating
No,
it.
absolutely. I think that, you know, the likes of, yeah, obviously we're sort of going into the 60th, we've got the whole Donna conundrum. It does, I don't mean to say it rushes its way through, but you think about it, he comes out of TARDIS, he immediately meets Donna, 2 seconds later a spaceship. By the 4-minute point, he's in the taxi with
this is
Sean Noble.
Pacey
It's pace, yeah.
storytelling, but also
know.
it's lampshaded later. It's like
Yeah.
somebody's pulling the strings.
Yeah,
Oh ho
yeah.
ho, possibly literally.
Possibly,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll see. But
The thing, I think the only thing, I think like you said, yeah, later it won't seem necessarily as special, because it does feel like, say, a season 4 episode that's had a bit of an upgrade.
what's
in
an event
budget.
episode?
Yeah,
as
and
well.
that's fine. I think though that as a 60th, I think it's good that we're getting 3, because there is not really anything in this that says 60th.
And you can't do it all.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you know, you're not going to get another perfect storm like Day of the Doctor.
No.
So Russell's very sensibly spreading his kind of
This
ideas around.
This is the episode that says, do you remember how much you liked Doctor Who those years ago? Well, here it is.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, they're basically giving a nostalgia hit to older fans that are,
Older,
you know,
younger
maybe
fans.
have fell away.
Yeah.
And oh look, David Tennant. Oh look, Catherine Tate's
Yeah.
back. So
No, I've
yeah,
read a
it
bunch
makes
of stuff.
sense.
Bunch of stuff on Mastodon. People saying I haven't watched since Capaldi, or I haven't watched since Matt Smith. And
My friend Clark now, years ago, I got him and his wife and eventually his kids into Doctor
tied them
Who.
to chairs until
I
they
did. I more or less groomed them.
whommed
But-
them.
But I got texts from him saying the boys had their jaws on the floor. They were so excited, and he loved it. My mate Claire. Now these are all people that are not fans as such.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think
And
Russell's
that's great.
done fans proud. He's done old, maybe not quite steady fans proud.
Yeah.
He's probably done the actress Nicola Walker proud as
Oh,
well.
definitely. The actress Nicola Walker phoned me up, and she was quite proud.
Excellent. So other things. The episode is haunted by Wilf. I really hope we see him, but either way, I'm sure it'll do Cribbins proud as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought it was interesting the way it was done, and we did that. It's a trope again from that era, you know, when Donna receives the key of Tennant and all that. Not that. The bit where she says, "I'm going home," and he does that whole thing. She goes, "You just mean you're going back?"
Yeah.
You know, and it's the
The old bait
same
and switch.
bit here. You know, we get this. Oh, I'm so. Yeah, you plummies, blah blah blah.
There's an interesting line, which is, he says, "I loved that man," and then he goes, "Oh, I say that sort of thing now." Which,
He actually said that during the Shirley Ann Bingham thing when
Right.
he said, "I loved her." Oh, you know,
does that when it was? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm mixing that up with the. Yeah, who was
she was good.
Yeah, no, absolutely great. And
Really liked her.
kick-ass wheelchair armory. So,
I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
I think it's been said somewhere now that she's, she's going to be in the series.
Yeah, and we've seen Kate in the trailer.
I would imagine it's possibly setting up Unit.
I like the look of the new unit, although it was ruined for me by somebody comparing it to the Spaceballs. Which, okay,
that
a little
actually
bit.
cheers me up a little.
Oh dear.
It's still got to be a little bit hokey.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Unit Tower looks a bit Avengers, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much Avengers.
Again, if Roadrunner doesn't sue, then Marvel might.
Well, Marvel can't. Marvel won't, because Marvel owns Disney owns Marvel,
Right.
and they're injecting the money in. So.
God, if Nick Fury pops up.
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Anyway, I liked Rose. I liked Donna. I liked Donna's mum, actually, for more than I ever did in the original.
They
kind of
mellowed her. And
yeah, well, I also really liked that she had that really honest scene where she misgenders Rose.
That's what I was actually going to discuss, because, we've sort of had those conversations, and it is sometimes people just, slip at the tongue.
Yeah.
And it's nice that it was done as not biting the head off, just saying it happens.
Well, it's,
as long as there's no malice.
It's
behind it,
nuance, because before that you've got the twats from the school dead naming her.
I'm glad he put that in there.
Yeah. Oh, there's an interesting bit I'll leave for you to listen in the podcast where you get a little bit of more detail about that from Russell himself. But then you get the kind of a bit of the range of the lived experience, because you get the kind of malicious dead naming, then you get the honest mistake, and you see Rose as somebody who's supported and loved, and you do see someone of the older generation especially struggling to adapt.
Yeah, but they are making the effort.
Exactly, and
yeah,
it's done with love, it's done with awareness, and that's nuance, the fact that it's not like good guys, bad guys, and nothing else.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, you get those little things, but they're not in your face. There's no this is front and centre. We're making a big deal of this.
Yeah,
it's the same with Shirley Ann Bingham when they say about we have to go in Geneva's. Oh, sorry, ma'am. Don't make me your excuse. Just go.
Yeah, it's also an interesting contrivance so she doesn't get possessed.
Yeah, it helps. But no,
it's just good stuff, and I think for all the joking about wokeness, it's like it's interesting that Russell treads this kind of tightrope of Rose's being a trans woman is sort of integral to the plot without it being the only reason she's there.
Yeah,
and so there's that kind of resolution. And the sort of the inversion of the whole binary, which has become shorthand for Donna's meta-crisis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that sort of passing it on, it's all very skillful.
I mean, it was. You could see what was happening, but it was more subtle than standing on a soapbox going on about fucking things if you don't recycle, we're going to turn into monsters.
We can get that coin sound effect back again.
I think we should.
No,
the only thing, the only slight caveat I would say about the whole thing is when once it's all done and Donna and Rose are saying to, Tennant saying, well, you still have to get this sorted with the
that frozen moment, let it go.
Yeah, and it's like,
yeah, it's Disney.
They say you wouldn't understand as a blah blah blah. And
a male presenting Time Lord.
Yeah, and I thought, well, you've kind of just sort of before that you were sort of because they're non-binary.
Well, it does also fold in the Doctor's recent, womanhood, and it's the Doctor's a fantastical magical being.
Don't get me wrong; it didn't make any real. It was just something I thought. That's
felt
a
rude.
Bit weird, It's like just have a go at the sort of, But
well, it's like he's. I don't know. It stuck out for me a little bit, but also I'm kind of so entranced by the kind of resolution of the episode.
Absolutely.
The tidiness of dealing with the meta crisis.
Yeah.
Because it's nice not to have that hanging over the rest of the specials.
Yeah, okay, it was probably a this is quite handy. It's a quick fix, but But having said all that, I don't think we need to dwell on these things. It's like when RTD came back the first time and he's saying about the likes of the psychic paper, the sonic screwdriver are there to get something out of the way so you can continue.
Well, the sonic's been...
Oh, yeah, I've got slight...
Tell me something, have I missed a thing where there was a sonic reveal?
I believe it might have been... I know it was... The old one was destroyed in Liberation of the Daleks in the
Oh, yes,
comic,
I remember that, yeah.
but I don't honestly know if
I wonder if
a
it's in
new
the comic
one
strip.
came
I can't
about.
remember.
But if not, then he's... I don't know, maybe it was in his coat or something.
Aye. I think the one other thing to talk about is the gorgeous new TARDIS interior.
It's beautiful.
It's just absolutely, and apparently it's Tennant's idea to do the running around it like a kid thing.
Yeah,
I love that. And then Tuna goes and sets it on fire within 5 minutes. It was Schrödinger. No, it was Chekhov's coffee cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I've got a bit of a thing with this, right? How shit is Gallifreyan tech if all it takes is spilling a cup of coffee for the whole fucking thing to go on fire?
Well, hot beverages seem to be major plot devices in both of Tennant's first episodes.
Yeah.
If you think. So as the 10th Doctor, the cup of tea saves him. As the 14th Doctor, the cup of coffee fucks his TARDIS up.
So no coffee in the TARDIS. And the bloody there's coffee.
I would love it if
there's obviously water.
Next week there's a no hot drinks.
Yeah, but there's obviously water going through the console at some... Yeah, it's like, fucking hell. But... My watch is waterproof. You know what I mean?
That's why you're going to have all this sort of bolted on, half-baked junkyard technology.
Just made me laugh.
God, it's such contrivance. But it probably was blowing up, so I really hope I hope they haven't done with it already.
I mean, they talked about that in the commentary, and they're just laughing, saying, Phil Collinson phoned them and said, "You've got to be bloody joking. We just built a beautiful thing."
It's like Stephen Moffat can now say that Russell makes beautiful new TARDISes and melts them.
I mean, obviously it's a contrivance to, get us into the next episode.
Well, I again, sort of slightly prompted by the podcast. So it's not a spoiler for Wild Blue Yonder because nobody knows anything about Wild Blue Yonder. But I've suddenly thought maybe the blue part means it's a TARDIS episode. Like a bottle episode.
Well, I sort of think it is, but...
I'd love that.
Yeah, I would, because I've always been fascinated with the TARDIS. But I think it might slightly be, but there is a thing that in the big trailer, because that bit where there's a sort of indent in the wall is from Wild Blue Yonder, and she says... something so bad that the TARDIS ran away.
Oh, yes, there's a TARDIS-shaped hole.
Yeah.
It's like Wile E. Coyote style, they're still doing the Roadrunner.
Yeah. So, I know, we'll definitely go to a lawsuit somewhere. But, I mean, there's nothing.
No, I love that. I just love that so much.
I've seen the wallpaper, and the only thing that you see in is some little robot that reminds me a little bit of
Marvin from the movie. Yeah.
So, but apart from that, that gives bugger all away.
Its name's Yonder.
Yeah, probably.
And it's very depressed.
Yeah.
And wild.
That'd be quite good.
I'm so excited for that episode.
I've seen a trailer which doesn't show.
I think I'm not even going to seek that out, actually.
Yeah. And there's a clip in Unleashed.
Right, I think I'll leave that
doesn't give anything either.
I think it's just... I will probably very seldom have the chance to go in this cold to another episode.
I don't think I've gone in cold to an episode since...
Time Lash?
Dalek or something.
Wow, yeah. Did you know it had a Dalek in it?
Yeah, I know. Talk about spoilers.
We'll give it away.
The thing is I've always said, spoilers don't bother me. I just don't want the whole thing. I like little nuggets. I think they're quite fun. But it's been a big talk among a lot of people how he managed to keep this one a secret.
Well, if it's studio
amazing.
based as well, then, and if you've got minimal cast and location, then that's going to help.
Yeah, but the actual TARDIS leaked, like months ago.
Yeah.
And stuff. So
you're going to have a lot.
You're going to have a lot of people
that,
on set that will leak.
Yeah.
But it's it's a bit of a shame because you'd think that you're working on this, you spent all your time trying to, and then you sort of spoil it a little.
Yeah. Having kept myself away from Mastodon for the week, more or less, I popped in with one hand over one eye every now and again. Because All of Time and Space put out a new episode on the 23rd as well, so I popped in to boost that, because love that show. And but no, after last night, basically after watching Starbeast, I sort of went back on and I followed the Doctor Who hashtag, so there were tons and tons and tons of responses. I barely scratched the surface, but I was really impressed by how many people took the kindness of putting it in the content warning tags that Mastodon has, which is really easy to do, and it's so thoughtful. I was really chuffed with that.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up, to be perfectly honest.
God,
especially yesterday, my Discord was a fucking nightmare trying to even keep up.
Yeah,
but
so
that was fun.
Any more thoughts on the Starbeast?
Yeah,
I don't remember the comic very well, but do you?
Yeah.
I must have read it. But
to be honest, the interesting thing is that the court scene.
I guess
Tom
does that in the comic.
Yeah. Well, it's not that, but that scene, you find out that the Meep is a villain quite early on in the story.
Well, Russell talks about that in the podcast as well. Yeah,
that he left it a bit longer.
I think that's absolutely the right choice.
Probably was, but it would have been interesting to say, let Rose say, "I will feast on your flesh."
He says he thought it would be really funny, and sure enough, it would.
It would.
But it also, what it does, it splits the reveal, so the audience are then ahead of them for a sizable chunk of the episode. And maybe there's tension in that, but to be honest, I think everybody was just enjoying the comedy of.
Well, I watched a few reviews, and a few people said that they knew what was coming because
apparently Don't Trust the Meep was doing the rounds on social media.
Yeah, something like that. But say they watched it with parents or other people, and the other people were like, yeah, good. So that's good. As far as I'm concerned, that was quite fun. I loved the Meep. I loved the court scene.
I was getting Stones of Blood vibes. With what they called
the wig.
What were those floating justice orbs called?
Oh yeah.
Can't remember.
Justice orbs? Probably.
Balls of truth.
Yeah, balls of truth. I love the Wraith. I just wish we'd have kind of got a bit more of them. Because they were literally there firing guns. And then, you basically realise that they just sound like Bob and Tony doing the pub.
Yeah. No, it was
really
humanising just before they get horribly murdered.
Yeah, and also it was quite neat because you saw them fly, and I found out it wasn't wire work. They were actually
flying.
Yeah, they were on a crane.
Oh right.
And stuff, but it wasn't CG or anything.
Yeah, okay. So it's just like you don't see their feet.
Yeah.
Unlike David Tennant at the start.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't see his little wings.
I think and I don't really, it's got so silly in the last couple of years, but yet more, maybe a bit more restrained Sonic flourishing. But he did use the Sonic to raise somebody's fucking visor. Come on!
But at least his arm was bent at the elbow, right?
Yeah. And he went and he checked the pulse of one of the unit soldiers. He didn't score Sonic over, so I was like, okay. But now, apparently, because whatever's needed in the story, the Sonic can do. It can now make MDF shields. It can now make a floating console.
I thought he was like cutting a hole in the wall somehow. But then it turns out he's kind of making a panel?
Basically making a panel that's like...
Has it got something to do with the wall that he sort of frames up against?
No, it's
summoning the essence of the wood. It doesn't do wood. Maybe it does now.
It's just out of thin air, basically, these two panels.
You can imagine like a sonic disruption field or something. But
That might have, made a bit more. But
I loved
look,
it.
I don't care.
Complete contrivance,
Because the Sonic's always done whatever's needed in the plot.
I was a bit like,
it's wood.
oh right, it's like they're going upstairs. It's a bit like stupid horror movie.
Yeah, but there was actually a good reason because going
They can go through the gable ends, yeah.
But
I'm resonating concrete.
Yeah. Now here's the thing: he hands the Sonic to Donna.
Oh, the way she took
and
it.
he says it's a and he's explaining. Now I know that's in there again for newer viewers, but now here's the one thing that I think is a little bit off with the story. Now he meets Donna, blah blah blah. Now
I love to put the cardboard box back.
Oh, that was fun. But we basically established that if Donna remembers him, she will die, right? Now, okay, I know he's following the Meeps, the Wrath, and all that, but
he gets a bit casual about it?
Yeah, he really does. Where Donna's concerned, because you would think he would, he may have got two
It's
hearts
like even beyond the kind of necessities of the escape, he's getting sort of...
He just loves being with her, but it's like taking a big risk.
It's almost like he's kind of... He's like, oh, fuck it, the damage is done, I may as well...
Yeah, but I mean, because...
I mean, he's not, but...
I know.
It's slightly unthinking, yeah.
But it's like when he's not got a choice. It's interesting that they're divided by a screen again.
Another contrivance.
Yeah, like in... Time Lord? What?
Oh, it sounded... when Wilf's knocking on the...
Aye,
yeah.
I mean, so there's that, and then he says the trigger words to and it's like you can see obviously shouting, why does it have to be this and blah blah blah, but as I say, he has been a bit
I loved all of that. I mean, is this list of trigger words, is that all of Russell's cryptic words for the last 12 months?
Yeah, they'll probably be in every issue of DWM. We can make an entire thing out of it.
We're all waiting for a scene with pelicans.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it.
Fingerprint, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
lovely scene, and I think Donna, Catherine Tate plays it beautifully. And the way she took the screwdriver, it's like, it's so familiar. It's just in her hand. And
there's bits like she's about the lottery money and saying that I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
And then she says doctor.
There's a lovely creeping horror to that, which you get mostly through Sylvia.
Really.
Yeah.
And that great bit in the van where she says, do you know him? Because you act like you know each other.
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised because I don't remember. I suppose... Yeah, Sean didn't actually meet him.
No, I love
was
Sean.
Wondering. He's great.
Something smells nice. What a line.
That is my
Madras.
favourite fucking bit in the whole thing, It cuts for that to Sylvia saying Tuna Madras and then Meep Meep. And you're like, that's just fucking insane.
I mean, because I love tuna fish, but Tuna Madras.
I'm
going to try it.
God,
but apparently Russell has it in his house all the time.
Yeah, apparently he does, because Collins and David Tennant said to him, and he went,
somebody on the podcast says,
you never had it before?
I was half thinking about Tuna Madras for the rest of the episode.
Oh, no.
And midway through the podcast, they get a delivery of Tuna Madras.
I genuinely think sitting there going, no, not under any circumstances would I do that.
Once you've watched the Mutants, this can be your challenge to me.
Yeah, wait, I tell you about the Mutants.
Yeah, well, we better get on to that. So. Oh my dear. I loved it. I just absolutely had a hoot. And like I say, I think it'll fade over time, but
of course, yeah.
So much.
It's got relevant bits at the moment because of the way
I want more of Rose. I thought Rose was underused.
Oh yeah, I did.
And I think everybody's bigging up Yasmin Finney, but she didn't really get a kind of a good chunk of something.
She had that little bit.
The hero moment then's lovely.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose she could have been used better. And I would imagine she's in the giggle.
I hope so.
Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like we're going to step away and then step back.
That's
or
what
step
I
somewhere else
feel
entirely.
like anyway.
But yeah, and if we're going to see Wilf, then that would be
I did like that whole thing about Wilf. He's Kate Stewart, old soldier thing. I thought that was really nice actually.
Oh, and the toys that Rose is making. It's like, God, you got your merch for days there.
Yeah, exactly.
You can
just see that, can't you?
That was lovely. And when I watch it again, I'm going to see if you can spot any of that in advance.
I tried. You can see a few, not maybe all of them.
They did
but
a skillful job
definitely
of not blowing the gaff there.
Yeah, but also because they're ambiguous, initially.
A lovely line earlier on about a bag full of eyes.
Yeah. I love the whole thing about that woman in Dubai. Seriously, it's that
somebody
sort
saying
of
that's
RTV
foreshadowing
type
something.
Well, maybe, I
it's
don't
Missy.
honestly. Interesting, but I did notice it at the time as well. It wasn't anything special, but it was the way things were dressed. Like the house had a couple of bottles of shampoo and some laundry on the stairs going up. It's like what people do, because I often leave laundry at the bottom of my stairs to take upstairs the next time. I just like
with my pristine house.
the way it felt real in that sense.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I suppose, it's just the job for
it's
the
little points,
dressers.
but I don't, and I'm not going to get into bashing Chibnall, but I did find that, especially during that era, what things that we were saying about the message, if you want to call it that. It was too front and centre. There was too much emphasis.
You can lay
sometimes.
unconvincing set dressing at the showrunner's door.
Well,
I would say exec producer maybe, but
apparently RTD wrote that into the script notes and stuff.
Oh, there you go. It's like every sock.
I think it's just, it's showing how people live rather than sort of that funkiness.
Totally adored it. I probably have more thoughts about it. And obviously, things that we see will be reflected, like who the boss is that the Meep refers to and so on.
I think this sums it up for me. I have, since it was broadcast, watched it 3 times and a 4th time with the audio commentary.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. And and no doubt. I've only watched it the one time.
I mean, I've not done that in ages. I watched, for example, yesterday, I watched Power of the Doctor, and I watched a few of the Series 4 ones to sort of catch up. I still don't think Power of the Doctor's that brilliant, but I was maybe a little easier on it, mainly because, say, time has moved. It's not as important as it would have felt, but as I say, it's not something that I have watched since it was broadcast. I've never rewatched it.
I think I watched it again near the broadcast, but not since. But I don't know, there's just so much at our fingertips.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get onto that as well. But whereas this, and it certainly wasn't because it felt more important. It was because it was fun. And it was enjoyable. Yeah. And it was just, I can watch it for an hour, switch my brain off and just go and laugh at stupid bits,
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't what you would say much a plot going on, because really once the Meep turned evil, he was in his spaceship and then boom and away and then down. It was more about the Doctor, Donna, the family, and all that. I thought for a moment that's what it was.
The Meep was going to just keep going.
I kind of hoped that. I just thought that was hilarious, but came down in the parachute, etc. And that was fine as well. But which in some ways is good, because you've not got rid of that character, so there's a good possibility you might see it again at some point.
A real costume played by a ballet dancer over here.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It was that, and they had the full heads and animatronic, and while Miriam Margolyes was voicing it, her face was mapped for the expression so that they could, adjust it in sort of post and stuff. And it really looked convincing,
I've technically worked with Miriam Margolyes. She did the voiceovers for the Peter Rabbit show I did, but I never met her because they were all recorded sort of remotely.
There's one thing that I'm hoping at some point will come out, and that's the studio recordings.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Because it'd be, you could just, you only mention the word Miriam Margolyes in Britain and everybody goes,
Somewhere in the vague categories of people in my head, she's sort of in the same sort of box as Brown Blessed.
Yeah.
some-
Mad as a box of frogs.
That would
basically.
probably be it, yeah. Oh, dear.
And a sewer mouth.
So, Star Beast, lovely. Looking
Yeah.
forward to Wild Blue Yonder and
Very
the Big
good
Beyond.
Yeah.
One more thing before we move on. Did you get a chance to watch the Channel 5 documentary?
Yes.
Me too. What do you reckon?
I really liked it.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was. I was surprisingly
Well
pleased.
researched.
Well,
wasn't
how
it?
restrained it was as well. It wasn't super
I
sensationalist.
think the only thing, and I don't even think this was trying to raise a controversy.
No.
They were honest, and they talked about the John Nathan Turner things, the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing with him and Gary Downey and
Yeah.
the doable barkers.
Yeah, appalling.
And Richard Madsen was saying that, nothing illegal happened, it was just morally wrong, and he was in a position of power, and he exploited that. And I think that's fair enough, because, genuinely, I mean, they could have went into worse things, because the way he treated Nicola Bryant, for example.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it was like all these stories you might have heard before, they're all put into context or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Even the whole thing with Patrick Troughton and his other family
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And the interesting story about Tom Baker and the woman he was with who was wearing a scarf.
Yeah. Tom being salacious. But
Yeah, but
The only-
Tom's Tom, isn't
the
he?
two criticisms I had were that some of their juxtapositions in setting the scene of the year in question were ludicrous. Like, the American embassy had been bombed and there's trouble for Doctor Who as well. It's like, come on. It's like,
Yeah.
and they take the usual cliche of taking the Polly make the coffee thing out of context as well. It's
Oh,
like, but yeah, it's a low hanging fruit, that one.
But, it was like they mentioned about Pat's initial idea of how to portray the Doctor.
Yeah, God.
But that genuinely is a true, has always been thing with him. And I was talking about it, I can't remember if I was talking to you or maybe online, and just saying, can you imagine if that had actually went forward? The entire Troughton era. It wouldn't matter if the episodes existed or not, they'd have been fucking burnt.
Well, the only people hoarding them would be fucking incel kind of
What, Steve
farages.
Colbert?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be just like, oh, God.
Oh, I mean, seriously, it was in the Brian Blessed. Well, he's called Who, so he's. Oh, God.
First I've heard that, actually.
Yeah, I think I might have heard that before, but as I say, you
Box
never
of
really
Frogs.
know with Brian Blessed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, fucking mental.
So, yeah, that's on Channel 5 on the catch-up if anybody hasn't seen it.
And
It's,
it's
it's nice to see a lot of clips, apart from anything else.
yeah, to give it its due, it was put together quite well.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I was expecting a lot more sleaze. And a lot
Yeah,
more
you would
things.
sort of maybe go.
Oh, no mention of that Bill Baggs Saigon film, but
No,
he
I
did
was-
get. I'd never seen the Stranger stuff
Oh,
either.
I bought them at the
Right,
time.
yeah.
and
I
I
had a
do
couple of
rem-
their audios.
Yeah, I do remember the scene with Sophie and Sophie and
Literally
Colin
the first
Baker.
I've seen of that. But
And it is Bill Baggs went more sort of salacious as he went on.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got the bit in Air Zone Solution with Colin and Nicola in bed, and Colin's trying to hide his moves. It's just very weird. Bill Baggs is a weird guy.
Wrong,
It is true that everybody he's worked with, he's basically diddled them out of their
Yeah,
pay.
people haven't been paid. and-
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get paid when I did the poster for Plastic Fantastic.
Oh, I forgot you did
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
A man is the sum of his memories, a Time Lord even more so.
So this is Your Cheating Memory, where we have randomly selected an old episode and gone away and rewatched it.
First thing I'd like to say is, let me show you how we trampled it.
Well, it was the randomizer.net. Yes, we chose Black
Yay.
Orchid, which does contain the...
Nyssa TARDIS tour.
It reaches its apotheosis and they actually get their first customers.
Yeah.
They seem very satisfied customers
Yeah,
as well,
very.
given that they suddenly accept everything.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. Especially the constable that walks in and goes, strike me pink.
It's like, oh, this is a bit rum. I got a message, Sergeant. Yeah. He's seen worse on the beat on a Friday
Yeah,
night.
let's be honest. Yeah, it looks like a rough area.
So Black Orchid is, let's get it out of the way, horrendously dated and straight out of that glorious subgenre of fiction called Lock Your Disfigured Relatives in the Attic.
Well, quite right.
Oh God, how many have you got up there?
Well, I've got my other son Hugo in the loft.
Hugo.
And we feed him on fish heads.
Right. Okay.
As is absolutely proper.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is. I mean, it's not that it hasn't aged well. It's just horrendously misguided in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, things like that did happen. I mean, you only need to look at the royal family. There was two members of the royal family that were special needs,
right?
And they were basically kept in a private hospital.
It seems to me like it's of that genre, and I'm quite ignorant about it in detail. But is it sort of Agatha Christie-ish?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it is sort of like an Agatha Christie type story. No. And yeah, it's dated, but I would say it is a charming little piece because it's, who was it said about Tegan? Having your drink?
Flight Through Entirety.
Yeah.
Another plug for them. That's a great podcast.
That's a great line.
Essentially what
she
they say...
loosens up.
Yeah, well, they don't warm to Tegan much until that episode, and she's finally had a drink and sort of
she's actually quite pleasant.
Yeah. No, Tegan's great in this. I love the party scenes and I get quite like I love a show with a sort of double as well, but actually makes you realise that Sarah Sutton's pretty good as Nyssa because Anne is so wet that Nyssa's badass by comparison.
Yeah, I did like that it gave Nyssa, not Nyssa,
Sarah Sutton,
Sarah Sutton, something more to do.
Yeah, to fall asleep. I think what it made me realise is that, especially with Anne, Sarah Sutton's voice is in this sort of squeaky register that really begins to grate. And
very much.
I love the character, and it's just, I think that's what it is. It's like the lines come out as whiny, and I think maybe Perry suffers from that a bit as well.
Yeah.
But, you've got not the best writing, and then something about the register, the voice. But
I think it's also the way you're told to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to like Nyssa a lot more than you're kind of doing practice in a way. And
I don't know, I just really like Nyssa. I do prefer it when it's Nyssa and Tegan. I get nothing against Mark Strickson. I think he's okay.
He's great in this.
Matthew Waterhouse, on the other hand, is another kettle of fish, but which I believe he tried to eat on set as well as basically absorbing their entire Buffy.
Well, that's become his second character trait. He can do maths and he eats.
Man, Jesus, it's like even Nyssa goes, "You pig!"
Yeah, or was it Nyssa?
Which is quite interesting because Arthur Pig's on track.
Oh, good point. Well, Nyssa's acclimatised. She's smart cookie. Yeah. But yeah. No, and obviously the TARDIS tours thing is just... I love that. Have they ever done that again? Maybe a couple of more times, but that's certainly the first time that gambit is actually paid off, I think.
Yeah, I think...
I can't remember if it was before that.
I think she mentions it in Visitation. I'm not sure. But... there is it is at least 2 times that you get that let me show you how we travel.
Yeah. I like the kind of sort of spookiness of, it's the Doctor when they're met by the chauffeur and all of that.
Yeah.
He's like so creepy, I think he's going to turn out to be an Auton or something.
And then the master.
Yeah. It's played for laughs, actually.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah.
And you had the first appearance of Redford's.
Yes, Michael Cochran.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great, actually.
Yeah, good actor.
Really nice.
Have you seen him in anything else? I can't think.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know offhand what he's been in, but yeah, he's very recognisable.
And of course, Davison gets his cricket moment.
Yeah, finally, this was the whole point of this fucking costume.
A bit of a tangent, but, there was this plan that Douglas Adams had for Doctor Who and the Cricket Men, which became the plot of a lot of Life, the Universe and Everything, for Hitchhiker's novel.
So that whole thing about the war and all that, and Only Earth is sort of like hideous enough to actually
make it
make it
sport,
into a game.
But actually, it occurs to me if that had ever been produced, the Fifth Doctor's character would have had to have been utterly different.
Yeah.
Or there'd have been a rather glaring bad taste to it all in terms of fan lore.
Absolutely.
That's an interesting parallel universe.
Yeah.
Now, so any more about Black Orchid? I don't really have a lot to say. Two parts.
There's not massive amounts to say about it.
TARDIS really looks good on a railway platform.
It does, actually. It sort of looks like a Midsummer Murder.
Yeah.
Funny enough. The costumes were good. I liked what Tegan had on. Davison's Harley Quinn costume. That was advertised quite a lot in the initial
It's on the book,
publicity for the that season.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pictures.
Like all the
of them.
secret passages.
Yeah.
Creepy house things.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, it's your typical country manor type thing, murder
Gotta
in
have
the
a
street,
few
like you
hidden
say.
passages.
The
I think
what?
there's a very elaborate preschool.
Yeah, very.
But yeah, no.
I did like Davison trying to sort of, when he was, they were accusing him and he was trying to get Lady, whatever her name is, to sort of back up what he was saying. He said, then we met the Indian. The Indian? Yeah, from Brazil.
And then you realise
Where
just
the
how it
nuts
sounds.
come from. It's just really good.
It's well
fun.
played. And,
Yeah.
I think it's well. I feel a sense of kind of indignant outrage on the Doctor's behalf that Lady Cranley's kind of betrayal and all of that, and it's like Helen A at the end of Happiness Patrol. She's lost her son, so
Yeah,
she's kind of been punished.
I don't think there's any real particular malice. It's basically that in that sort of high society thing of hiding your shame and you don't announce it in public and everything.
We should probably hide some of our shame.
Yeah, probably. I
Getting
don't
around
think
to it.
I could. But
Well, you've got quite a big house.
yeah,
The attic's already full of fish eggs.
cupboard somewhere. But I think it's more of a thing now that people are more open. And back then, and especially the upper classes, it was all about status and
Don't talk about
how
it.
things look, and don't ask, don't tell.
Thing is, we don't know what's being hidden at the moment because it's been hidden.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, when I give the word, press the button. The big one? Yes, maybe it works in conjunction with the others.
Well, let's choose another adventure. I've got the randomizer.net, wonderful website which randomly selects a story for you. You ready? What are you hoping
You'd
for?
be great at advertising.
Well, just give them their due.
What am I hoping for? Oh,
Telesnaps?
something controversial with Davros.
Alright, so clicking the button now.
All right, well, let's try and find out. Now, what could it be?
So it's the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Oh, brilliant.
What a shock.
Yeah,
After
no
watching the
Davros.
Daleks.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Davros thing, don't you?
Yeah, probably. No, Dalek Invasion of Earth's really good fun, actually. Yeah, I mean, it's actually a really, really good Hartnell story.
If we're lucky, they'll have colorised it by next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
With
So
Daddy
because
Davros.
of having lots to cover, we've not watched Jekyll for Box of Delights or any more Tomorrow People, you'll be glad to hear. So we'll save them for later.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have the challenge to consider.
So you still challenge me, young man?
I've asked Chaz to watch The Mutants, which he's never managed to sit through. And I think there was some sort of legal trouble last time, but have you managed to watch it in the heat of the 60th?
Yeah.
Great. Oh,
and as I say, I have employed my own version of Jerry Adams. If you like classic IRA, for example. And he is voice. Well,
in this
Jerry
metaphor, you're Jerry Adams, and the voice is the person who voices him.
Yeah,
over.
sorry, the actor who voiced.
In case
Jerry
we've got any
Adams.
listeners too young to remember this was when the IRA were at their height in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was illegal for them to be heard on television, so the news companies got around that by just having a voice of an actor. So this is what you're saying is going to happen for your Mutants review.
Yeah, the voice of an actor.
Oh,
friend
I see.
is
You sent
gonna-
me an email with a clip.
Yeah.
Top of the morning to you, Tim Reid, and the rest of the day to me. Listen, your friend Chaz has asked me to watch the Doctor Who story, The Mutants. Well, I haven't been able to, because I'd never heard of it.
Well, I mean, I can't say I'm entirely surprised, but let's get this legal thing out of the way and try again next week.
Well, I thought this was pretty good. I mean, at least I gave you the real McCoy.
Yeah, that's true. So one more thing before we wrap up, which is the Davros thing.
Controversy.
As the Big Finish box set will be called.
Probably.
So Davros appeared in we didn't talk about this actually, the little comic relief sketch.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which was great fun. I had an interesting sort of thing with it. So sort of forgotten comic relief always has to be comedy. So Davros' assistant...
comic relief, it was...
Oh, sorry, yes, it was Children in Need. So Davros' assistant was obviously playing comic reactions, and I vaguely recognised him as a comic actor.
Did you hear what the character was called?
No.
Mr. Castavillian.
Right. Mr. Castavillian.
Castavillian, yeah, villain, yeah.
So I loved all the
Jesus.
anagram stuff and the sort of chutzpah of having the Doctor knock off the arm. I mean, the moment the arm got knocked off by the TARDIS rival, that was
good.
It's Chekhov's Dalek gun.
Yeah, exactly. I actually liked the sketch quite a lot. I mean, I think the only thing that confused me slightly is that RTD had said, I think in DWM or something, he specifically said it's not a comedy skit or anything. It's like a, and it sort of, I'd say, stuck its foot in comedy a little bit. Not major or anything.
It was up to the neck in comedy by the end.
Okay, whatever. I suppose. It didn't bother me.
No.
That didn't bother me.
It was just tonally odd until it went.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit strange, and that obviously bothered a lot of people.
Right.
But Davros...
Is it because he's still saying it's canon, though? Is that why it's bothering people?
No, and it didn't bother anybody in terms of the thing itself. A few people were commenting on why was it comedy.
To stop beating around the bush, it's that Davros is no longer going to be depicted as being bottom half Dalek.
Yes, but here's the thing. That was mentioned in the Unleashed afterwards. RTD gave a speech to camera, and it was a bit clunky for him, talking about, the use of disabled characters and the trope of the disabled cat being blah, blah, blah. And he's absolutely right. I mean, you can look through film and television media and you get it quite a lot, and I don't have a problem with that, and I don't generally have a great problem with this, because everybody was sort of misinterpreting it slightly, because this was pre-Genesis. I know there was a bit of a continuity thing with calling it Mark 3. They should have called it Mark 2, because there wouldn't be a lot of time for an accident.
It was 3.01.
Something like that. But, I personally think if you do Davros stories, there's a lot of mileage in pre-Genesis anyway.
Yeah, well, there is a Big Finish box set already.
For example, Davros, yeah. So there's
the Scottish one. Davros.
Yeah. It's just he did say that going forward, this is Davros, blah, blah, blah. This is how we're going to portray him.
Are people panicking about Genesis getting little CG legs put on him or something?
Possibly. I think people are panicking, but nothing exists. It's only mentioned. They haven't said, right, Genesis, Destiny, all that's going to be wiped out.
If we do this,
and we're going to do blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that exists at the moment, but as usual, you get fandom reacting to it. Now,
can I articulate what I'm
please do,
because
I'm rambling.
I think the thing that sits slightly oddly with me, it's so much part of the lore. So yes, let's acknowledge the trope, and that's a poisonous trope. But Davros' story is richer than that, in the sense that you've got the visual resonance, but you've also got the sort of understandable backstory. This man survived a terrible accident, built himself a chair that supports his life, and clearly that's been the foundation for his future work on the Daleks as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bit odd that he's got the Dalek design in place without the chair. That's a bit sort of dissonant.
Yeah.
And it's also he absolutely believes in their superiority.
Yeah, I mean,
so why would he reverse engineer it? You know, he thinks he's in the best thing possible already, you know.
But I mean, that is the thing. It's not the accident that made him like single-minded
fucking evil.
and evil. He was evil to begin
I
with.
mean, to be honest, to be fair, I suppose that has only emerged kind of over the various stories, and probably it's intended that this made it worse or pushed it over some line. You know, he becomes a monster.
I think
and that's problematic.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is I'm not well, actually, I am.
The blue badge, mate. You may as well own it.
Yeah, no, okay, I'm going blind and I walk with a limp and I have balance problems. Okay, but what I would say is that, you know, the character has existed in one form for so long that it's very jarring, the thought of changing
I think that's the word, jarring, dissonant. It's kind of, it just kind of shifts the thing, and part of that is that we've just grown up with that image of Davros, but I think Russell's clearly trying to do a good thing. You know, he's pushing the representation and the inclusion.
I get it, and also if you look at, say, fans,
I'm not sure I will.
No, but if you look at wheelchair users and stuff in general, I don't have their lived experience. You don't, and I've seen a couple of people. One particular guy on YouTube who he said it didn't like really bother him, but he's sort of happy about the way it's been handled. I think we need to be very, very careful when we criticise certain things or sort of try and sort of say, oh, well, this doesn't, I never thought about it like this or whatever. It doesn't mean to say just because we're not in wheelchairs or... Yeah, I can understand it.
I don't think we need to overblow it. It just sits odd.
It sits odd,
and it's a big mental adjustment to a character that's been around for years.
There was just one thing I did want to say, that it was Children in Need Night, and Russell did say, you know, there's obviously a lot of disabled children, and he didn't want to, in Children in Need Night, have a villain who
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know, and I get that. I totally get that.
The biggest outrage and misstep for me in the whole damn thing is claiming that it's not comedy. What the fuck?
I know. I found that a bit strange, because the Castavillian guy was obviously, and even Davros was doing,
For the first bit, until he kind of kicked in and spoke, I was like, or you know, before it was obvious, I was just like, he's just got a comedy face.
Yeah.
he's doing
and
comedy
then
face
the whole David Tennant comes in and goes, wasn't he?
Yep.
It's the end. But the moment has been prepared for.
9 times out of 10.
There we go. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to get in touch, or if you don't trust the Meep, we can be reached by email at randomizerpodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to us on YouTube while watching trippy visuals at tinyurl.com/randomizeryoutube, or follow us on Mastodon, randomizerpod at mastodon.social, and in all cases...
That is Randomizer with a S, not a Z.
You were trying to think of something funny to do instead.
No, I wasn't.
No?
Actually.
You were just naturally pausing.
I was naturally pausing
and
wanting to shock you.
Oh, I see.
So
it was like a build-up.
Yeah.
So I dubbed in a drum.
Galileo Figaro. How's that?
Ghastly. Okay, let's test again, like we did last summer.
Let's twist again, like we did last year.
Have an opinion, loudly.
I have an opinion when things are really humming.
Given that you don't sing the podcast, thank fuck.
Well, I might decide to do an entirely singing episode.
Oh god, like Buffy.
Yeah.
I think that's coming to Doctor Who at some point.
Oh god, yeah.